Welcome to the Odyssey Sports Fantasy Football Show. I'm Chris Emma, alongside my colleagues Jordan Cohn and Jesse Pantusco. Week one of the NFL season is here. We're getting ready for fantasy football. We got our waiver wires, our stream team picks, and our stealthy starts for week one. I'm going to kick us off here. I'm going to go with Randall Cobb as my sleeper pick. Look, the Saints have been trying to figure out that secondary alongside Marshawn Lattimore. We know Devontae Adams is going to be drawing the attention of New Orleans. Aaron Rodgers wanted Randall Cobb back. He wanted to get his guy back in that offense. Randall Cobb's owned in 16% of Yahoo leagues. Nobody has, and nobody's seeing that potential out right now. I think Randall Cobb is going to have a big game, and I think he's going to get some volume in that offense. So that's my waiver wire sleeper. Jordan, who's your guy?
I'm going to go with someone who is the benefactor of some injuries on his team, and that is Ravens running back Tyson Williams. He is owned in just 17% of ESPN leagues, 26% of Yahoo leagues. Ravens have had just a disaster in the backfield to this point. J.K. Dobbins out for the year with an ACL tear. Justice Hill out for the year with a torn Achilles. They have Gus Edwards, and his ADP has skyrocketed. You're not going to be able to pick him up on the waiver wire. But he also has never really had the full load, even when he got a start last year because Dobbins was out. He only got 51% of the snaps. So the guy that you can pick up is Tyson Williams. He leapfrogged Justice Hill even before Hill went out with an injury. He should have a pretty big role going forward. And yes, the Ravens did work out Le'Veon Bell and Devontae Freeman this past week. But if Williams has a good game in week one, then, it might kind of render those workouts meaningless, and he could have a big role going forward.
J.K. Dobbins was my sleeper, so I'm taking note on that one, Jordan. Thanks for the help. Jesse, who's your guy? Who's your sleeper?
Well, for a program that hasn't done much winning lately, Ole Miss has turned out an awful lot of receiving talent the past few years. In that span, they've produced DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown, and now Elijah Moore, who was the star of Jets training camp this summer. At 5'10" and only 178 pounds, Moore isn't as imposing as Metcalf or Brown, but that didn't stop him from dominating college football's toughest conference, finishing second to only Heisman winner DeVonta Smith in both catches and receiving yards last season. With little in the way of competition, New York's depth chart includes late bloomer Corey Davis and low-wattage slot man Jamison Crowder, who is currently in COVID protocol. Moore should have a relatively clear path to volume. I also think his downfield speed, Moore clocked a 4.34 at his pro day this spring, meshes well with Zach Wilson, who may have the strongest arm of any quarterback in this year's rookie class. Owned in under 40% of ESPN leagues, Moore is a worthy season-long stash in all formats.
Let's get to the stream team, boys. These are players not rostered in under 50% of leagues. I'm going to go with a quarterback here, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I am going with Sam Darnold of the Carolina Panthers. He has a revenge game against the New York Jets. I think they're going to have a lot of volume, a lot of targets within that offense. I think Sam Darnold's in a much, much better place with the Panthers than he was with the Jets. They're going to try to build this thing around him. You mentioned they got talent around him in that offense. I think Sam Darnold is my stream team quarterback. So, Jordan, who's your stream teamer?
Well, it's already slim pickings at the tight end position. We're only in week one, but I'm going to go with Eagles veteran tight end Zach Ertz. He's only owned in 25.4% of ESPN leagues, 31% of Yahoo leagues, so he's pretty widely available. Last year he was someone who it looked like it was the end of his road in Philly. We've been waiting to see where they would move him, and he's still here. Not only is he still here, he had a pretty good preseason. He was targeted right up there with Goddard. So the pecking order is kind of unclear as to who is going to get a lot of work for this offense. Goddard is definitely the tight end you want to own in Philly, but in week one against the Falcons, who are a pretty bad defense, they actually gave up the 5th most points to the tight end position in 2020. The Eagles can run a lot of 12 personnel, get Jalen Hurts' his safety blankets out there in Goddard and Ertz. It could be a game where they pass a lot to keep up with that Falcons offense that Ridley and Pitts should be able to do pretty well against the Eagles defense. So I like Ertz as a pretty safe, as far as safety goes among streaming candidates, I kind of like Ertz as a safe pick here.
That's a good one. Jesse, who's on your stream team?
Well, Minnesota's defense is still widely available in ESPN leagues, 29.2% owned, and for good reason. They stunk last year, allowing the league's 4th most points and 6th most yards per game. Luckily, the Vikings get a soft week one matchup at Cincinnati. Coming off ACL surgery, Joe Burrow has looked tentative this offseason, while rookie Jamar Chase, a COVID opt-out in 2020, has shown noticeable rust, committing a league-high 4 drops during the Bengals' preseason slate. The Bengals could have and likely should have addressed their offensive line with the 5th pick in April's draft, but passed on Oregon's Penny Sewell in favor of Chase. Danielle Hunter, an All-Pro selection when he last played in 2019, should be able to wreak havoc on a Bengals O-line that yielded 50 sacks, fifth most in the NFL a season ago. I don't love our defensive streaming options this week, but if you're in a pinch, the Vikings at least have some upside.
Yeah, it's a tough stream team coming off draft week, but I like these picks. I like what we got. Last one, let's go to the Stealthy starts. These are players started in fewer than 50% of leagues. I'm going with Antonio Brown of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that Thursday night game, facing the Dallas Cowboys defense, a defense that allowed the fourth most fantasy points to wide receivers last season. They made improvements on that Cowboys defense, but not enough to slow down this Buccaneers offense. Tom Brady has weapons all around him. Obviously, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are going to draw the bulk of the attention, but Antonio Brown is going to get points. He started in 28% of Yahoo leagues right now. I think Antonio Brown has a big Thursday night debut. Jordan, who's your Stealthy start this week?
Chris, I got to tell you, I love the Antonio Brown pick. I think he's someone who's getting slept on in drafts, just like I think Raheem Mostert is getting slept on in drafts. And apparently on the teams that did draft him, he's only started in 42% of them on ESPN. I think he could legitimately be a top 5 running back this week. He has a great matchup against the Detroit Lions defense, who can just get shredded by the run. Last year, they gave up the 3rd most yards to the running back position. And Mostert's 5.6 yards per carry since he entered the league in 2015 is the best among all running backs in that span, and that's because of his propensity to break off the big run. You can say that about anyone, but with Mostert, it seems like a much higher threat that he'll just rip off a 60, 70-yard touchdown run, and boom, that's your fantasy week right there. That's all it's going to take for Mostert, so I would definitely plug him in. He's projected by the consensus to be the 15th highest scoring running back this week for Fantasy Pros, but there are 26 running backs who are started above him for ESPN's percentages. So don't sleep on Mostert. Plug him in there.
You know, Jordan, there are some defensives when you see they're on the calendar, you got to pick against them. The Lions are one of those for me. If I see somebody's going up against the Lions this season, I'm pinning them into my lineup. So I like that pick. Jesse, who's your Stealthy start this week?
Jordan and I appear to be all in on the Eagles this week. And wouldn't you be too, playing indoors against the league's worst passing defense? No team allowed more fantasy points to wide receivers than the Falcons last year, which is why I'm expecting a monster game for DeVonta Smith in his NFL debut. Not only does Smith have a dream matchup, but the reigning Heisman winner also has history at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, where he erupted for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns in last year's SEC championship. The NFL can be a bear for rookies, but Smith is better equipped for that transition than most, having played in 3 college national championships. This also isn't his first time playing with quarterback Jalen Ertz, who he shared a huddle with at Alabama. In a game with shootout written all over it, it's inexplicable Smith is only starting in 20% of ESPN leagues. And yes, Mom, I know I need a shave.
Week 1 is here, boys. Football season snuck up on us once again. For Jordan Cohen, Jesse Pantusco, I'm Chris Emma. This is the Odyssey Sports Fantasy Football Show.